And good morning, everyone. Welcome to this day. It is October 29th. A lot of fog out. I'll tell you about the weather in just a moment. On our show today, we're going to bring you a segment from Third with Jack Connolly, who is the Third Board Treasurer. Also on today will be Dr. Lisa Curcio of BreastLink. And this time, we're talking about male breast cancer, something you don't hear much about. And then first up is going to be Assemblyman Matt Harper. Now, Matt is the incumbent candidate for the 74th District. So we'll sit down and talk with him. Now, there are no meetings. In fact, there are no meetings until Thursday. And even then, there's only 3 meetings total this week. The GRF candidates meeting, which was on our printed schedule, they had decided a few days ago, last week, to cancel that because they have 3 folks to cover 3 spots on the board. So they're not doing their meet the candidates this morning. All right, let's get to the weather, and we got some heavy fog out there today and tomorrow. In fact, today it's pretty darn thick out there. The beach communities may not clear up till afternoon. Very thick out there. It's kind of nice, and but there was some areas around Southern California. It was hard to drive because the visibility was really down because of the thick marine layer. Now, it's 76 today, tomorrow 77. As we move forward on Halloween, we're going to get those Santa Ana winds back. Probably for here, they're not going to be very strong winds. That's what I mean to say, which is good news. Now, even around Southern California, they are looking at possibly, maybe gusts up to 30 miles an hour in certain areas, unlike a couple weeks ago, we had that last round where there were gusts up to about 50 or 60 miles an hour. So milder winds, but we'll still have those winds and the temperatures will go up. Now let's look around Orange County and beyond today. And the beach communities will only get probably to about 68 today. Look at that. And the rest of the county, pretty low temperatures, but nice. I like this. I'm not looking forward to the temperatures to go back up in the 80s in a few days. So as I said, it's a very thick marine layer. It'll clear to hazy sun. The beaches will probably stay foggy. I'm thinking till about noon today, maybe even close to 1 o'clock before it all burns off. But then it's going to be nice out. And today about the same thing. Halloween is the day that we'll start to get a little of those offshore winds. So we'll see how strong they get. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Achieve a level of comfort you've never known before. The Daydreamer will take you through smooth movements and guide you effortlessly into your favorite positions. Adjust the power pillow for ideal support for your head and neck. This and our positioning technology allows for infinite relaxation. Lay back in zero gravity while watching TV and put your body and mind at ease. Lift your spirits and find your favorite daydream. Contact your local Golden retailer today.
The American Legion, we're a powerful force for the nation. We're the largest veteran service organization in the nation, with 2.5 million members. And when you add to that the American Legion Auxiliary and the Sons of the American Legion, we have a family of 4 million members, working hard every day for our veterans, our youth, and our communities. Go to legion.org to find out more about the American Legion's commitment of service to America.
When other dealers say no, Capistrano Toyota says, yes, we can. Low payments? Yes, we can. Low financing for all types of credit? Yes, we can. Capistrano Toyota features 10 acres of new and certified pre-owned Toyotas, plus many used cars priced below $10,000. When other dealers say no, Capistrano Toyota says, yes, we can. Exit the 5 freeway at Camino Capistrano.
If you have Medicare, you got to get Alignment Health Plan's Black Card. It's a member-only benefit, unlike anything I've ever seen, giving you access to one-on-one health support any time of day or night. Need to schedule an appointment or need it right there? They'll take care of it. Now you can talk to a doctor 24 hours a day. Call them and get a card of your own, and all the benefits you deserve, too.
And I'd like to welcome right now Assemblyman Matthew Harper. Matthew is the current Assemblyman for this district, the 74th District. He is also running again, so he's the incumbent candidate. Matt, good to see you.
Very
Welcome,
happy
sir.
to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here today. So let's talk about a few things. And I know one of the things you wanted to talk about is housing. And a couple things that are on the ballot that could affect property taxes. And this is, you know, there are a lot of bonds out there this time around, a lot. So some people are worried about Proposition 13. One of the ballot measures is, and if I have this right, I think it's Proposition 5, and it transfers Proposition 13. Yeah, why don't you explain that?
So what Proposition 5 does, it allows folks to be able to move from one place to another within the state of California, and they can actually transport their property tax valuation. And so it allows a lot more flexibility in terms of people who want to move. I think it would actually improve property values here in Laguna Woods because in part it would allow a lot of folks to be able to move to where they want to in their senior years. And I think that this is a very desirable place for people to live in their senior years, so it may actually increase the demand here within Laguna Woods. On the other hand, what it does is a lot of people who live in 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom homes and they're in their senior years, instead of worrying about their property tax bill going up by moving, they can transport that property tax basis. So it's going to free up a lot of family-oriented single-family homes, I think, for people who have families.
Now we have something. Don't we have something like this right now where you can transfer? So that's why I was a little confused by this proposition.
But it's only a very limited number of counties. It's less than a half dozen counties. This would apply to the entire state of California.
All right. Let's talk about you know, jobs and the economy here.
Yes.
Obviously, California is a huge economic force. However, we hear a lot about businesses that are leaving the state. People are leaving the state. And in fact, in a report, I think it was in the spring, U.S. News and World's report, California ranked in the bottom half of the most desirable states to live. We were 50th in opportunity. We were good in healthcare. We were about 4th in healthcare. But when it came to jobs, economy, and things like that, we were on the low end. And part of the reason is the cost of living here and just in general, a lot of the tax burden.
You're absolutely right. California is a beautiful place to live. We have some of the best weather in the entire country. There's so many opportunities for recreation, whether it's the beach, whether it's the mountains, the deserts, and so much more. But our economy, unfortunately, is becoming a lot of haves and a lot of have-nots. There's a part of the economy that's doing well for people who are very wealthy, people who have very high-level skills, but there's a lot of people that get left behind in California's economy, and it's definitely a place where we're losing middle-class opportunities. So many people moved here to California from the Midwest and other parts of the United States because it was attractive with job bases in aerospace and so many other kinds of industries, but instead, especially our manufacturing base, has continuously been moving to other states or even outside of the country. And that's in large part because of the high cost of living. If you can manufacture in Alabama or Florida or Texas, often those folks have actually moved their manufacturing to those locations. It's part of our high taxes here within the state of California. It's our high regulation here within California. It's our high vulnerability to litigation. A lot of the trial lawyers have actually worked with the state legislature to make California a very dangerous place for people to invest their business in because it's so vulnerable to litigation. And also our labor laws have been moving in the direction of what labor unions want, which is constrained management, and that's made it another incentive for businesses to locate their manufacturing and other segments of their business to other states.
All right, on the same thing of taxes, Proposition 6. Now, Proposition 6, if people don't know, would repeal what commonly called the gas tax. It was really increasing the gas tax and registration fees. One of the burdens that seemed to be on that is people who kind of did the right thing over the years and bought electric vehicles or hybrids were now all of a sudden being being penalized. On the other hand, our roads, our bridges, and infrastructure are in need of billions of dollars of repair.
And I very much agree. I think that California needs very significant investment in our roads, in our freeways, in our bridges. But I actually supported an alternative 9-point plan with 9 different bills to be able to maximize the dollars that we already have and concentrate that on our roads. A lot more efficiency can be found within Caltrans. And I think that we can definitely do that instead. What happened is there's already a gas tax even before the increase. And what we need to do is actually spend that existing gas tax on roads and bridges. Instead, a lot of it's been diverted by the legislature and by the governor to finance debt and many other things it's been diverted to. If we instead actually spent our existing gas tax revenue on our roads and infrastructure, then we would be able to save the taxpayers an increase, which is what Proposition 6 is about. Proposition 6 would repeal the increase in your car registration. As you said, it would eliminate that penalty that's on your electric cars and the increase in the gas tax. It wouldn't repeal the entire gas tax, but the increase that was approved by the legislature and the governor.
All right, because I know my registration, it's rare when your car's a year older, actually went up. So I want to ask you about the Fair Pay Act, because your opponent that is running against you stated that you were one of the legislatures that voted against that. Is that correct? And if that is correct, why?
Well, absolutely. And I was actually praised by the Orange County Register for standing up on that issue. I did not think that it would actually make any difference in terms of how people are paid. The issue is that the proposer of that bill thought that it would equalize pay between men and women. But it ended up not doing that. And I was right on that. And it provides for an interesting soundbite and an attack on me. But the reality is I have been a supporter of women across the board. In fact, my very first vote in the state legislature was the vote to make Kristen Olson the Assembly Republican leader and to make her a candidate for Speaker of the California State Assembly. My chief of staff is a woman, my legislative director is a woman, and I've been very much someone who has supported women in public office and in public policy and in success in business throughout the state of California.
Okay, healthcare. Now, healthcare, we're going to ask you about this because on one hand, we look at it as a national issue, which is of course going on right now, but we've all heard that, that California as a state is looking to maybe go through their own kind of healthcare system, a single payer, whatever you want to call it. Now, I did mention in that U.S. News report that we were about 4th or 5th on healthcare, so we do pretty well already. But what's your view on, in general, about dealing with healthcare in this state?
Well, actually, I do think that healthcare should be predominantly a state issue. I think that Tennessee or Rhode Island and California all have very different demands on what we expect from government in terms of healthcare, and I think that actually is a place where we should be a leader in policy at the state level. I look for bipartisan solutions, and I've actually voted for many bills that were bipartisan solutions on making sure that healthcare is more accessible and more efficient within the state of California. I very much want to avoid a situation in which we go down the road of a single payer system for all of California, because I think that making California strictly in charge of healthcare is a very, very bad model. If we've seen how the state of California handles the DMV, we certainly don't want them in charge completely of healthcare, but are there ways to be able to rein in costs and make healthcare more efficient? Absolutely, yes. And I've been a part of some of those bipartisan solutions, and I'm a part of looking for more. Okay,
speaking of the DMV, we've heard recently a lot of the problems that they've had as far as staffing goes, being prepared for the rollout of the Real ID. Is that what it's called? And just in general, looking at the way that it's run. And one of the things that you are campaigning for is looking at them closer, maybe an audit.
Well, actually, I was on the first of the folks who asked for an audit in the state of California. And that's because in terms of listening to the people who I represent, the Laguna Woods and throughout coastal Orange County, that's one thing that I noticed this year, different from any of the other 4 years I've represented the area in the state legislature, is there was an absolute spike in people who are complaining about the DMV and about the times and about being able to get appointments. Now, the DMV has never been perfect within the state of California, but the upshot, the uptick, the frequency in terms of complaints was very obvious. And then when looking into the issue, we definitely saw that there were problems with staffing. In fact, you've probably seen the news reports of people sleeping on the job and other issues in terms of their management and being able to handle the workload. I think that the DMV is very often one of the biggest interfaces that the general public has with California state government. And we are failing the taxpayer. We are failing the general public of the state of California. And so especially as we get to the Real ID, but the state legislature actually approved additional funds for that, but unfortunately the management of the DMV isn't utilizing the money that they've already been allocated. And so doing this on top of having driver's licenses for illegal aliens as well is, I think, overburdening the DMV. And so we need to make sure that they are more efficient and they're being held accountable to the taxpayers.
Let's talk about a couple propositions that were in the past, 47, 57, and there's been a couple of things that in essence were propositions, things to let criminals out earlier. And supposedly it was going to be nonviolent criminals. You know, there was the ruling by the judge a couple years ago, things are getting overcrowded and that sort of thing. So something had to be done in some way.
Yes.
But it seems, unfortunately, these weren't well-written propositions and or bills. What's happening is that criminals that did have some violent past are being let out because a judge ruled that the 3 strikes law, you can only look at that last strike. And if it was some minor little offense, that's all they can look at, and they go, well, the guy just, you know, stole something from a store, we can let that person out, and you can't look backwards.
Well, I'll argue that there are some positive things to be able to say about our current governor, but one of the big criticisms that I have is I think he's been the most soft on crime governor that we've had in definitely my lifetime and in many decades. He has championed ballot initiatives that have moved prisoners in California prisons to jail and from jail out onto the streets. And there are a lot of folks who are defined as nonviolent criminals who really are a danger to society. They're certainly a danger to our life, liberty, and property. And so we are in a situation in which the crime situation in California is not mirroring the rest of the country. There are actually significant decreases in crime throughout much of the United States, whereas in California we're seeing something very different, especially in property crimes. We're seeing a lot of increases here, and it could become more dangerous here within the state of California because we have such a pipeline of people moving from prison to jail and from jail out onto the streets. That makes it more difficult to do business here with.
Does that mean the solution is coming up with legislation that says, let's really define the people who are nonviolent, look at it, scrutinize each and every individual, and look at their past crimes as well?
And what I'll be doing is, because those ballot initiatives were adopted, the only way to modify or repeal a previous ballot initiative is another ballot initiative. Because the legislature can't undermine what's been adopted by the voters. And so the legislature can propose something, or the people can actually get a proposition onto the ballot through petition. And that's something I'm very, very supportive of.
Okay, last question. Many states have what's called a part-time legislature.
Yes.
California, I think, is one of 4 states that is what I call totally full-time and full pay and that sort of thing. Other states are kind of what they call hybrid states, sort of in the middle. And there are some states, probably at least half the states, that are really part-time. What's your view on that? I mean, you are a legislature.
Yes.
And if you're elected again, you'll be another one. What's your view on maybe going part-time?
I think California is way out of the mainstream when its state legislature comes to mind. And the amount of time that the legislative session goes on is pretty ridiculous. It's far longer than anyone else is spending in the Capitol. And I think that's part of the reason why we have so many bills that are kind of a little strange or a little weird, is if we had to focus with less time, I think people would be focused on the real issues that face Californians instead of getting into these straw bans and some of the more ridiculous things that get proposed by the legislature. So I'm definitely a supporter of not only less time in the legislative session, but reflectively also less pay for the legislators as well.
All right, thank you very much, Matthew. And again, remember, if you haven't voted, coming up on the 6th, I know a lot of people here do vote by mail, but a lot of you are still waiting to vote. If you want to learn more about the Assemblyman, vote MatthewHarper.com is the website. Thank you, sir. Good
Happy
to see
to be
you
here.
again. You take back. You back.
Did you know that we are living longer, healthier lives than ever before? And did you know that social interaction, brain stimulation, and exercise improve your quality of life? Did you know the Saddleback College Emeritus Institute offers 200 tuition-free classes to older adults in South Orange County? With over 30-plus locations between Lake Forest and San Clemente, it has never been easier to take advantage of your third act of life. Sign up today.
At El Toro Pharmacy, your health needs and your quality of life is our top priority. We can be trusted with all your prescription needs, delivered free to your doorstep. Call us to have your prescription transferred. We will take care of everything. No hassle to you. We are a full-service pharmacy carrying all your over-the-counter medicines at competitive prices. And we offer complete diabetic care and your immunization requirements too. Under new management, come visit us in Moulton Plaza. El Toro Pharmacy will never be undersold, and we offer the finest after-sales services.
Do you need Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas cards? Diane's Hallmark has them all. From a wide selection of gifts as well as Hallmark Christmas ornaments, let Diane's Hallmark help you celebrate these special seasons. We also carry Vera Wang Bradley handbags and jewelry. And don't forget we carry Bibles, Christian books, and gifts as well. Come in today and experience our personalized service. Diane's Hallmark is located in the Walmart Shopping Center next to Hobby Lobby.
Over the past 20 years, BreastLink has successfully treated thousands of women across Southern California. Our doctors like Dr. Lisa Curcio have helped women overcome numerous health challenges. With her experience, compassion, and the high quality of care she gives to every patient, Dr. Curcio is also a breast cancer survivor. She offers patients the newest and most effective surgical treatment options. Doctors like Dr. Curcio are the reason BreastLink delivers the care you deserve with the quality you expect. Whether you need us now or later, we're always here.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have Dr. Lisa Curcio on from BreastLink. And this time around, we're talking about a subject that, well, is not often talked about. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you.
Great to see you again.
It's always a pleasure.
And today we're talking about male breast cancer. And although this is rare, it does occur, but it's very rarely talked about, and I'm sure most men don't even think about it, right?
Right, and I think this is a great time to really recognize the fact that men are affected by breast cancer too. Male breast cancer is only about 1% of breast cancer diagnosis that we see in the office. So for instance, for every 100 women, we see maybe one male with breast cancer. But it is an important diagnosis because commonly the patient has symptoms that don't get easily diagnosed or recognized as being breast cancer.
So what would be some of those symptoms? I mean, after all, men don't go in and get mammograms that I know of.
Correct. We're not usually screening men with mammograms. Right. So it's really physical examination. And it's important for men to just appreciate if there is a change with their breast tissue. So a lump, a thickening, a skin change, a nipple change, or a discharge from the nipple can be early signs of breast cancer in a man.
Okay. Is breast cancer in men caused by the same thing that happens to women? Because I've heard a lot, you know, with women there's obviously the different points in their life where their body changes more than men does, estrogen levels, all kinds of different things. So what causes it in men?
Well, it is a hormonal disease in
Okay.
men also, and it sometimes has to do with the imbalance of estrogen and testosterone. Surprisingly, men do make estrogen, but usually it's in a low level and testosterone is much more dominant. So one of the risk factors is men that are being treated hormonally for prostate cancer, their estrogen levels are allowed to rise, and that could predispose them to a breast cancer diagnosis.
Okay, what about breast cancer history in the family? And I'm not talking about, because again, they're probably not looking back in their history when it comes to men, but maybe their mom had it and their grandmother or sister.
Particularly hereditary breast cancer. So when you see multiple relatives, we do know that women who have the BRCA mutation, particularly BRCA2, there's a higher risk of male breast cancers. So it is important for everyone to know what their family history is, and if there is multiple relatives with breast cancer in the family, someone should be tested to see if perhaps the men are at risk.
So that would be genetic testing that
Yes.
you would do? Okay.
Yes.
All right, if a man is diagnosed, is the treatment the same?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
it's treated with removal of the tumor or the entire breast tissue, biopsying the lymph nodes, and then depending on the stage, chemotherapy and or a pill, which is called endocrine therapy.
Okay, what about age? We often hear with women, you start screening, I think, at 40 on a more regular basis.
Yes.
And so I'm assuming that it's more common for older, middle-aged women to get breast cancer versus young, although it does happen.
Correct.
What about with men?
Well, with men, it seems like the incidence of male breast cancer is a little bit later, in the late 50s, early 60s.
Okay.
But I think it's a good habit, particularly if there's a family history, for men to be examining their breasts regularly, since they are not being screened with things like mammogram.
Okay. This is, you know, kind of like the way years ago, I'm not saying now, but years ago when it came to colon cancer, a lot of women didn't get screened. They get screened a little bit more, I think, now, where years ago it was considered just a male disease, which of course was not true.
Right. Yes, well, once again, the statistics are breast cancer is obviously much more common in women than in men, but I don't think we'll be starting screening on men anytime soon. But I think there should be a heightened awareness by physicians, primary care doctors, that new breast symptoms should be evaluated and start off with something like an ultrasound, and we even do mammograms on men where we're concerned.
Oh, okay. What about lowering your risk just in general? For both, obviously, for women, you've talked about that many times. Same thing for men, just diet, healthy living, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. I think number one is recognizing if you're at increased risk, and if you have a strong family history, you could come in for a risk assessment, and we could even do some genetic testing. And if you have a BRCA mutation, we might want to do screening mammograms. And then lifestyle modifications, staying at a healthy BMI or body weight, exercising regularly, and eating a healthy, predominantly plant-based diet.
And of course, I know you've talked about this before, is if you still smoke, smoking seems to cause everything.
Correct.
It's a risk factor for just about everything, am I right?
Correct, and we are recognizing more and more that alcohol is a risk factor for breast cancer too.
Oh, okay, because there's another one of those things you hear, well, if you drink red wine or you do this or that, it goes back and forth, but you're looking at that as well?
Yeah, so you know, there is a lot about the medicinal value, particularly for cardiac disease with red wine, but the data seems to hold pretty strongly that if you drink every day, one drink a day increases a woman's breast cancer risk by 10%, and if you have 3 drinks a day, it's up to 30% increased risk. Wow,
all right, very good. Well, if you'd like to find out more about this, or for some reason you would like to get in contact with BreastLink, maybe it's time, if you're a woman, to set up your mammogram appointment, or if you're a man, you have some concerns, give them a call and they can certainly go through the steps with you. Interesting topic, and not something that's really talked about much, but I'm glad you did. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Doctor, always good to see you.
Thank you.
Take care. We'll be right back.
At Breastlink Laguna Hills, we understand the anxiety that comes along with healthcare. That's why we provide breast-dedicated specialists in imaging, surgery, and oncology. We have one center, one team, with one focus, you. Studies have shown that cancer patient outcomes are better when treated by dedicated specialists. This makes a difference for women who want timely, concise, and accurate answers. Breastlink delivers the care you deserve with the quality you expect. Whether you need us now or later, we're always here.
I hope you have a great day today.
Oh, I respect it.
There's your meals, and we'll see you later.
Thank you very much for coming.
Bye-bye.
This is Age Well Senior Services. Won't you make it yours?
And welcome back. Today I have Jack Connolly on. Jack is the board treasurer for Third Mutual. Nice to have you on, sir. Welcome.
Very nice to be here.
And you got a couple things you want to talk about today. I know one of the things is the water issue,
Yes. One of the things the board is trying to do, always trying to do, is to keep the assessments as low as possible.
Right.
Because we pay it too, and people are retired, and incomes are not generous for some people. And one of the biggest expenses we have that we have very little control over now is our water bill.
Mm-hmm.
We were almost $200,000 over budget.
Wow.
And that translates at some point to the need to raise assessments unless we can bring this under control.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just starting to look at it. We don't expect water's going to get any cheaper in the coming years.
No, I don't think so.
And you know, we're going to ask the help of residents in controlling this, including, you know, using high efficiency toilets, shower heads, and so on and so forth. We're just beginning to look at this, and hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll have a plan that will keep these bills lower.
Okay. Now, you've been on the board a fairly short time.
I joined the board, I was appointed to the board last June, had some health care problems, became more active in the fall, and was elected president.
Okay.
Or, excuse me, treasurer at the last board meeting.
So what made you want to get onto the board?
I had been on HOA boards and commissions for the last 25 years.
Okay.
I went to a couple board meetings. I saw that there were not many people applying to be on the boards. And I could understand that because there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I brought some skill as a former treasurer with me and thought I could help, and I joined.
Okay, so that's your background in finance?
No, my background, I've got my doctorate in anthropology.
Oh, okay.
I worked in Appalachia for a year identifying disabled kids. Then I worked for the city of Chicago for the Health Systems Agency and ran it for a bit. The Health Systems Agency was set up by the federal government to help contain healthcare costs. And what we had to do is review any application to spend $50,000 or more on capital goods to put up a new hospital, things like that. That's where I picked up my finance.
Oh,
then I worked for a nonprofit, ran that and set up the pension plan, and picked up a little more of finance. Now I can say I can count at least to 20 by taking off my shoes.
All right. Very good. So you have quite a diverse background.
It's kept me out of the pool halls.
And how long have you lived here?
We moved here in May of 2016 and couldn't be happier with the move.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Now, as you're now the board treasurer, and what are some of the things that you would like to accomplish, or the way you might do things a little bit differently?
I don't know how much I do differently. I had a predecessor, Steve Parsons, who was terrific.
Right, yeah.
And I'm still learning from him. One of the things I'm interested in is keeping a close watch on our investments for our reserve funds. We have a fairly substantial reserve fund, and it takes some looking after every once in a while. I'm also interested in what kind of feedback we get from management in expenses. we've had a couple situations where we run into surprises that we shouldn't have had. It's a complicated organization. It's we have a $35 million, around a $35 million budget, and it takes a lot of looking after. I don't do it myself, but we have a pretty good board, and we have a great board president who doesn't miss a thing.
Now, as far as your time on the board, it's only been a few months.
Right.
Was there a learning curve for you? I mean, I always say there's a learning curve just because, as you said, it's not an easy system to grasp very quickly.
The procedures you have to learn, some of the protocols, some of just what are the roles of the different board members. Yeah, I think I had the benefit of being on other boards before I came here, so I had at least a general sense of what was appropriate and what wasn't appropriate. One of the difficulties that I faced is joining the board. There isn't a thick written manual of this is what you should do in this situation. Other boards did have that I was on, but with the help of the other directors, I was able to get up to speed. One of the things they do that I appreciated is they assign a new board member a director mentor that can help you through the issues. I feel impressed that the tenor of the board is to be helpful. It isn't, we can't do this, that's a bad idea, we've always done it this way. We're all invested in this.
Yes,
which
I see what you're
is
saying.
really, really important. What else can I tell you?
Now, getting back to, you mentioned investments with reserve. Now, of course, there's a balance there because you want something that is safe and fairly conservative, although that doesn't pay out very much.
That's exactly
certainly compared to 10 years ago.
We're in a kind of an unusual situation now because virtually all of our money is in bonds. And this would be, Ginnie Mae's, Treasury bills, some corporate bonds. And right now, it's bond glory because the stock market is tanking and people are running to bonds. So we're doing really well. But if we were in another market, like we just left, where the stock market was going through the roof, bonds are not very favorable, and you can lose money that you don't even know about because it's inflation. The dollar amount is the same, but the buying amount shrinks.
Right. Now, you guys must then hold the bonds. Are you in mutual bonds or bonds in singular bonds?
Most of there's all kinds of bonds, but treasuries and Ginnie Mae's, I think, make up the majority of the bonds. Merrill Lynch and BlackRock are the managers. BlackRock is the single largest debt manager on the planet.
Right. Okay. I was wondering about that because, of course, interest rates are rising a bit, so the value of bonds can go down unless you keep them to maturity.
And we're looking at this with help of outside experts. We have a terrific banker that's giving us good counsel. The key is you have a number of different people watching these things. You don't just leave it in one person's hands.
Right, that's true.
So far, so good.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
That I'm very happy to be here and to be of service on the board, and that's it.
All right. Nice to meet you, sir.
Very nice.
We'll see you again soon, I'm sure.
Okay.
All right. We'll be right back. I will get you unhooked in just a second.
Oh, okay.
Wood flooring and more, it's LA Carpet.
Now during their 2-day sale, visit their showroom now and get 65% off wood flooring, laminate, and waterproof flooring.
Plus, get 5-year, 0% financing.
LA Carpet, #1 for you.
Today from the Village Library, and this time you're going to be talking about something new that people can take advantage of, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's unusual, and I've been on a couple times in the last 2 months talking about the fact that we are extending our hours into Wednesday evening,
which is great. How's it been going? Have you been getting people?
We've been averaging about 10, but I'm happy that they're all of them. People who have come in have been really appreciative. So I'm hoping to expand it. But because we normally have 80 people come in on a shift, I wasn't really busy, so I started looking into the application, what's there, and I saw this feature, Reserve Express it's called, so we're going to try it out. And what it is will allow people to identify their favorite authors, and then when that author comes out with a new book, it will automatically reserve it for them.
So even if you don't have the book yet, it's kind of like, in a way, it reminds me of you order something on Amazon and maybe it says out of stock or something, we'll notify you when it's ready. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, or sometimes they'll send you an email and they'll say, oh, you've purchased from this author before and they have a new book. And then you find out it's a year from now.
Yeah.
Well, now you can go onto our system, and if it's one of the ones we've selected, and select that person's name, you can forget it. And when that book comes out, you'll get put on the reserve list, and when your turn is up, you'll get automatically notified that it's ready for you to pick up.
Very nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, will that be something that the application does, or you folks at the library will contact the person? You'll get a list? Or...
when it's the reserve's actually ready for them, just like today, if they have an email address in our system, the system will email them to say their reserve is ready. If they don't, then we call them.
All right.
But yes, so the big thing is making sure that people go on and identify their favorite authors. So the first thing that you would do is log into your catalog account and select up at the top, My Account, and then it'll bring up your name. So here, this is a training account that we've set up, Hold for Processing Training.
Yes.
But it would normally be welcome in your name.
Yeah.
So then the next thing you would do is select under that arrow Reserve Request, and then this screen comes up, and there's a couple options for reserves or requesting books. And the first one there now says receive new books because we churned this on. So if you have a favorite author, arrange to receive new books by the selected authors automatically. So you pick that, receive new books, and it'll come up. And here's a partial list of the authors that we've selected already.
Okay.
So I had pulled a list out of the system of all the books that were checked out this year. And I calculated what were the most popular authors that people actually checked out. And the top 15, I think, I selected. So like Patterson and Danielle Steele and Grisham, Stuart Woods, the perennial favorites of our residents here. Then also, our book buying committee is meeting next week, next Friday. And we get a look ahead, booking ahead it's called, of what books are coming out in the next couple months. And and then the book committee decides. So we know who the favorites are. But for example, Lee Child, Louise Penny, J.D. Robb are coming out with new books in the next couple months. And they're favorites of our people. So I've selected those names. And they will show up in this list. So now if people log into their account, go down and pick one of these authors, it'll get highlighted and it'll be darker. And then when those books get added into the catalog, they'll automatically get put on the reserve list.
Okay, now how will it work? Let's say there's 5 people wanting a certain book that's coming out. First come, first serve, basically?
No, actually it's random. We even tested this out yesterday. So if 5 people go on today and pick the Louise Penny as their favorite author, when her book comes out, it'll randomly assign those people to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And then next time, if there's another author, it'll be a different random pattern.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So some people might, maybe they're really good at watching the catalog and jumping on fast, but
but I think this is really good. It's interesting. Some of those authors I didn't even know were still writing books.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's one of the things that the application says. Don't bother selecting an author that's no longer alive because they won't have any new books coming out.
Right. Well, I've looked at that
But, yeah.
list. I didn't know, I don't really follow it. Like, I didn't know, is John Grissom still alive and Daniel Steele?
Absolutely. And oh my gosh, Danielle Steele, she comes out, it seems like every 6 months she's got a new book.
Wow.
Yeah. Some of them, they only have one a year, like John Sanford or Daniel Silva.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought they were.
Yeah.
Sorry to the authors. I didn't,
One of the other things that people might be concerned about is that we have a limit. You can only reserve 3 things at a time.
Okay.
But since this is automatic, it overrides that. So you might actually wind up with 5 reserves on your list. If you already had 3 reserves, it'll still let this happen and be on your reserve list.
So you can have up to 5?
Well, no, it'll be whatever. But hopefully we won't have like 5 favorite authors all in the same month. So because people can't read that fast.
Yeah. All right. I think that's fantastic. Very good.
I think people will really once we get them on board, they'll be happy. They won't have to think about it. The other thing is, if your favorite author is not on our list, just let them know at the front desk. We already have a form ready. You can fill it out, and we'll be happy to add that author.
Okay, they
to
can
our
reserve
list.
that way as well?
They can always go on reserve the normal way.
Okay, all right.
But we would be happy to add their author as a favorite.
Okay, all right, very good. Well, thank you very much. That's great that people can do that.
Yes.
And check out the library. Go over and just kind of acquaint yourself if you haven't been there before. They have a lot to offer besides books and DVDs and magazines and puzzles and all kinds of different things.
Yes, we love it.
Yes. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, very good. I like this.
Yeah.
I'm glad the Wednesdays are going good. We'll be back. Yeah, that.
Kiana Lee. Today we're talking with Dr. Christine Chung. Today's topic is gum disease. Doctor, what do we need to know about gum disease? Mom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gum disease is an infection of the tissue that support and surround your teeth. It's a major cause of tooth loss in adults, but it's an easy fix.
Thank you, doctor. So don't wait, people. Come on in and get your 7-day dental smile.
As a professional licensed realtor, you have worked countless hours to ensure your reputation is the best. Your clients know they can trust your judgment, that you'll be around when they need you, and that you will deliver what you promise. In escrow, one company has set that same standard for excellence. Escrow Options Group offers more than just outstanding escrow services. White glove concierge services, wire and fraud protection, custom estimates, and more at no extra charge. Choose the company that mirrors your professionalism. Escrow Options Group. Experience a better option of escrow services.
Many people keep the same Medicare health plan for years without questioning whether it's still the right plan. It's always beneficial to review your plan, and now is your chance. The Medicare annual election period, October 15th through December 7th, is the one time a year you can sign up, change, or disenroll from a Medicare health plan. Call me for a free consultation or come meet me every Wednesday during the enrollment period at the Regency Laguna Woods to find the plan that's right for you.
Hi, I'm John Bowser-Bauman. You probably know me best as Bowser from Sha Na Na, but I'm also president of Social Security Works PAC. And you know, when I'm in Laguna Woods, I always watch Village television. Grease for peace.
Well, our movie coming up today is certainly appropriate for the week of Halloween. It's actually become sort of a Disney cult classic over the years. Came out in 1993, and that is Hocus Pocus. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Ninjami is in this movie, and we're going to show you some of the trailer here.
Jump back, twist the bones and bend the back.
Back in 1693, the people of Salem, Massachusetts, witches, thought they got rid of the Sanderson sisters for good.
We shall be back.
300 years later, it's Halloween Eve. And they're back.
Uh-oh. We're home.
Are you boys a little old to be trick-or-treating?
We're talking about 3 ancient hags versus the 20th century. How bad can it be?
Now they're digging up old friends and running amok. Looking for the one thing they miss most.
Who stay for supper? I'm not hungry. Oh, but we are.
Only one boy has the power to stop them.
Prepare to die again! You have no powers here, you fool!
Before all Salem falls under their spell.
Hello, you!
Walt Disney Pictures presents Bette Midler.
Hello.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Would thou dance with me?
And Kathy Najimy. Hocus Pocus.
Into the night!
They love to fly. And it shows.
Good night. Sleep tight. No screaming.
Good movie. I think you will really enjoy this. As I said, over the years, this has become sort of a cult classic. And man, 1993, so all that time ago it came out, which was 25 years ago, but perfect for the week of Halloween. Good family fun movie for you. That will be on at 2 o'clock and at 6 o'clock today. Now, our Friday movie is called Lean on Pete, and this came out last year, and it's all about a teen, and he is living with his single father, and he finds work caring for an aging racehorse named Lean on Pete. When he learns that the horse is bound for slaughter, he embarks on an odyssey across the new American frontier in search of a place to call home. Charlie Plummer stars in this, as does Amy Seimes and Travis Fimmel. So this is a really good movie, very well done, and just a good message behind it. It's rated R, mainly for some language in this and some adult situations, nothing really beyond that. In fact, when I looked at this movie and a little closer, I'm actually surprised it's rated R, but it is. Good movie though. This came out last year. Lean on Pete will be our movie on Friday at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock. We got a lot of good movies coming up over the next month or so in November, and a couple I'm looking forward to. One is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I haven't seen that one yet, and also The Incredibles. Showing here the Monday movie Hearts Beat Loud. This I'm looking forward to as well. Any movie that has Nick Offerman in it, you know, is just going to be quirky, fun kind of music, or kind of movie with, in this one, a little bit of music in it. And Nick Offerman is quite the woodworker as well. We have On How to Save a Marriage. That came out all the way back in 1968. Three Identical Strangers, about 3 brothers that were separated. This is based on a true story. The triplets, and they got back together later in life. A really interesting story. And another movie that's kind of become a cult classic, Being John Malkovich. And that will be our movie on the 26th. Now, looking at our Friday movies, Ant-Man and the Wasp, as I told you. Haven't seen this one yet. This is a Marvel movie that came out over the summer, so I'm looking forward to that. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. This is the second movie of, remember the first Mamma Mia, of course, all the great ABBA music. And The Incredibles 2, this was really a very good movie, very well done. And if you like the first Incredibles that came out like 13 or 14 years before this one, you'll really like this. And then another classic movie that came out back in the 80s, Stand By Me. And Will Wheaton was in this, the late River Phoenix, and Corey Feldman. You remember that movie? Really good movie. Now, I want to tell you about the Festival of the Arts for summer of 2019. And the reason I'm telling you this is you got just until Halloween, Wednesday, that if you would like to apply to have an artist showing there, you need to do so within just a couple days. The fees are $50 per medium that is submitted. And you see it says jury fees. That means that They have to look at what you submit, and you go online, they'll tell you how to submit it, and then they decide whether or not you'll be part of the show. So you got until the 31st. We have wonderful artists here, so give that an opportunity. For that show, you only have to be an Orange County resident. For the Sawdust, you have to be a Laguna resident. Now, Pageant of the Monsters. One more day to go on that on Halloween, October 31st. We went on Saturday. This is something that, from what I understand, they only do every 4 or 5 years. I wish they would do it every year because it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun, great for families and kids of all ages. They had a wonderful maze that you go through that was based on Indiana Jones. And of course, it's the same folks that put on the Pageant of the Masters. So obviously, artistically, it was just absolutely well done. There's also some artists down there selling some things, and they got fortune tellers and all kinds of stuff. So it's just one more night. So if you don't have anything to do for Halloween, this will be a great way to do it. I think it's like $15 to $20 for the tickets. Check that out also at the website, Festival of the Arts Pageant of the Masters, FOAPOM.org. All right, the weather, we're going to have a little fog out there this morning. In fact, it's pretty thick. Probably will clear up down here. It's just beginning to a little bit, but at the beaches, I've seen where they're not expecting until maybe around noon or 1 o'clock. Tomorrow, maybe a little bit less so. As we move forward, we're going to start to see some of those offshore winds again. It shouldn't be real bad, but it is in the forecast. I don't think we're going to see any red flag warnings, but it'll start on Halloween, so we'll have windy time for the witches and goblins and everything else out there. And that'll continue at least until Thursday, maybe Friday. So we'll see. Those temperatures bump back up again. Fairly mild around the county today, just some beautiful weather. And as I said, the beaches may be under the fog for quite a while if you're watching us in the morning. Palm Springs about 91, and up in Big Bear, really nice up there, 67, way above all this fog. All right, we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
I can't turn back.